Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we return to Rule the Waves. We're returning to our Japan Let's Play. It is June of 1908. We recently got out of a war which caused the tension levels to drop dramatically, but also caused the treaty time, or the treaty arms limitations that had been signed to expire. So at this point, we've just begun entering the Dreadnought age. We're a little bit behind, but you can see Russia's building one, Germany's building two, and Britain's building one. No one else is building any, and we have 11 battleships. But due to the combat, due to the war and the aftermath of budget cuts, we are in some pretty big trouble as far as the budget's concerned. We don't have a ton of extra money. Our docks are also not large enough to build dreadnoughts at this point. They're only 18,000 tons large, and the first Japanese semi-dreadnought was about 19,000 tons, and that actually was the Satsuma class. It was originally supposed to be Japan's first all-big gun battleship class, but due to gun shortages, they had to rebarrel. I think they had 4 12-inch guns, and then they were going to have another 10 or so 12-inch guns, but because of a shortage in guns, they replaced them with 10-inch guns, so they were kind of semi-dreadnoughts, which we've already built some semi-dreadnoughts. You can see here we've got some 10-inch, what were these? No, those are cruisers. Some of our battleships, actually, that we're building, the Iwami class, have 6x9. That doesn't make any sense. Let's click on them and see. So these classes have 6 9-inch guns and 16 8-inch guns. So I guess those are more like cruisers, actually. Interestingly enough, I could use them like cruisers. They're just a little bit slow. That's a thought. Anyway, so right now we don't really have the dock size to build dreadnoughts. We could build them in foreign yards, but that's always a little bit of a dicey proposition, especially when you're looking at 2-year build times. Who knows where tensions will crop back up quickly. I'd like to build them myself, but again, I'm curious if that's a good idea. What I think I will do, because one other ship class that we have that's starting to get out of date, is our heavy cruisers and our light cruisers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and design a new class of ship. We're going to make it a heavy cruiser class. We'll go ahead and we'll auto-design the ship. And you can see here if we do that, our AI or whatever builds a ship with 12-inch guns. Oh no, it's a battle cruiser. I didn't say do that. I said do a heavy cruiser. No. Well, let's clear turrets, and then we can see if that really happens. Okay, so if we design it's throwing 12-inch guns on. It's like a pocket battleship. It's got 6 12-inch guns, although this actually had 11-inch guns. 6 12-inch guns, and it's classifying it as a battle cruiser. Perhaps that's because of the speed, but I think what I'd rather do, because part of the thing that's holding us back is right now is the dock sizes, but then we also have an issue with not being able to put 12-inch, anything bigger than 10 inches on our wing turrets, which really limits us in terms of our battleship design. We could add we can't do those, but we could add a midship turret as well. But that's about all we could do. So we could have like a triple mid turret, which would give us kind of an odd setup here with 6 or 9 12-inch guns all along the center line of the ship. But 3 of them are kind of going to be obstructed depending on the field of fire because of the center mass of the ship. You have to be broadside to broadside for those to matter. I suppose we could go that route, but then we'd really have to cut back on some of the armor because we just don't have a dock large enough. We could increase it to 18,000 tons, but even so, you can see here we're about 1,000 tons too heavy. And that's only with 9 guns, I'd like to have more. We could cut back on the conning tower and turret armor down to 8 inches, and that'll cut some. Maybe we cut the secondary armor back a bit, down to 2 inches, and cut secondaries down to, say, 12 6-inch guns as our secondaries. We don't have any tertiary batteries, but you can see there we'd have 9 heavy 12-inch guns along the center line of the ship. I would like to have another or a couple heavy guns, but we can't do superimposed yet because we haven't researched it. We could do just a regular aft turret, but it's not superimposed. They're not going to shoot over each other, so they're flat. They're basically in the way of each other. Actually, the Turkish Dreadnought that they bought from the British had a similar design. And it's going to be too heavy again. Suppose we could cut the guns down to 11 inches. And somewhat limit their utility. And then we'd have 12 heavy guns, but again, in a less than ideal setup. Our technology just isn't there. We could build them in a foreign yard. That would be an option. Maybe build it in the U.S. Ask the U.S. to design it for us. See what they come up with. And then, what the heck is that? A port wing and a starboard wing, but they're off center from each other? 8 12-inch guns? I don't know if the U.S. can... 13-inch guns might be better. Let's try a different design. Let's see if they come up with something different. So we could do that. We'd have 3 heavy guns in the front, 3 in the rear, and then 2 on each midship. I kind of like that design. They'd be 12-inch guns, but the Americans have a -1 quality 12-inch gun, so that's a bit of a problem. If we up them to 13 inchers, quality's still -1. 14 inchers still -1. 12 is 0. So what about the 12-inch gun data? 5.8, 1.6, 6.5, 1.2 versus 7.1. So actually the 13 is... Oh, but that's only up to 12,000 yards. It doesn't give us the 15,000 yard 13-inch gun. I guess their 13-inch gun can't even fire that far. So their 12-inch guns are vastly superior to their 13-inch guns, because they've got 3,000 yards of additional range. What about at the 12,000? 6.5 and 1.2. 6.5 and 1.2. So it does a better armor penetration at 12,000 yards, but it doesn't have the same range as the 12-inch gun. That's curious. And then 16 4-inch guns and casemates. It's 22,000 tons. Makes 26 knots. It's a Lexington class. I think the country we're the least likely to fight is probably the U.S. Take a look at our tensions here. The U.S. is among our lowest. Probably I'd like to bump the belt up to 7 inches, but oh, we do have that. So we do have the additional weight to work with. Belt extended up to 4, deck up to 3. Oh, that did it. Can't get the deck up to... Well, actually, we can make it bigger. The U.S. have 26,000 ton docks, so we may get a 24,000 ton ship. Still moves at 26 knots. We can bump some of these. I don't need torpedo tubes on this. We'll save some weight by dropping torpedo tubes. So we'll make it 24,200 tons. It can move at 26 knots, which is pretty reasonable. It has 10 12-inch guns. A broadside is 8, which seems reasonable. So I like that for a first battle cruiser. It'll be expensive. Range, medium, coal, engine priority, normal. Those are all fine. Well, maybe if we extend it out to long range... Well, we'll keep it medium. Ships of this age really didn't have much in the way of range. What about if we make the engines reliable? We need to make it heavier if we do that. So we can make 25,100 tons, update the ship. You can see it gets much bigger. Still have some additional, had some additional weight to play with. 95 rounds per gun. We didn't really run into any issues with the quality of our, what was I going to say? We didn't run into any issues with the quality of our engines. Yeah, we did actually in the last war. But anyway, so this is going to be a little bit more expensive. And obviously we'll need to rename the class. We'll go with Congo, right? No, well, maybe not. We'll go with Fuji. We're going to name it the Fuji class battlecruiser because we're going to scrap our old Fujis. Especially once these are complete. Okay, ship built to design. Cannot overwrite design. Oh. Fuji Naga. Oh, we'll just call it the Naga. We'll call it the Naga. Okay. So we now have a Naga class battlecruiser, 25,000 tons. 9,000 tons near the next closest thing that we've built. And we'll go ahead and build one of them. It's going to cost $2.8 million per turn. That's pretty darn expensive. Actually, we're going to bump it up to 2. So we're going to build 2 battlecruisers in the United States. It's going to cost us over $5 million a turn. And we've got $5 million in initial development costs. So we're going into the red for these babies, and they're going to take almost 3 years to build. Fortunately, we do have some ships coming offline, and we also have some building of our ports, which should end soon, which should free up some cash. So 2 battlecruisers, and just like that, U.S. is not building any battlecruisers domestically, but they are building 2 for us. And our tonnage for our battlecruisers actually makes them the heaviest ships afloat at over 25,000 tons. So we'll see how those ships play out. It kind of eats into all of our extra money, though, so we're going to have to save the game, I would say, and bump ahead next turn as our cash is dramatically going to decline. The French government's offering to sell us the right to the superimposed X turret for $4.6 million. We need this technology. We need superimposed turrets, definitely. Okay. So other countries are having financial difficulties. I'm assuming largely in part to the current economy. Okay. 28 knots? Oh, wait. Oh, those are light cruisers, though. Battlecruiser. Okay, so it seems like if our intelligence with Germany's right, is their battlecruiser class carries 12-inch guns as well. So that's good. Industrial production is soaring and new methods of technology are introduced. And we need to suggest a name for a German light cruiser. We'll call it the Blücher class. The steel industry wants a stronger navy. They want to help convince Prime Minister to increase naval expenditures. What do you do? Mention the importance of a strong navy in the steel industry for the national well-being to the Prime Minister. That will increase the budget, but it will also increase tension. Tell them the Navy is not a tool for increasing their profits. That will increase our prestige. We'll do that, because the name of the game really here is prestige. And you can see Russia has halted producing their battlecruiser once again because of financial difficulties. Italy actually just laid down 2 Dreadnought class battleships as well. So the U.S. is not building any, and France are not building any, but everybody else is building some. The British laid down their 2nd. Germany has 2 laid down, and Russia has 1 laid down. But I feel like this is an area we're kind of ahead. Granted, our budget's going to limit how far ahead we can stay. But still, you can see here we're closing the gap a bit on our monthly budget, but the problem is our funds are rapidly running out. Even if I dismiss some of these ships, that's not going to save us too much. I was rather rash with my spending. Fortunately, we've got over $2.5 million that should be coming off the docket this next year with these ships that are completing. Okay, so we just found out that one of our ships has trouble reaching the design speeds. The Italian government's offering to sell us the rights to 2-inch guns of quality. 1, our current 2-inch guns are of quality. 0, we know we don't need these. We don't need 2-inch guns. I mean, we do, but we don't really need really good 2-inch guns. Okay, so you can see here our monthly budget improves a bit, down to negative $1.5 million, with the addition of those other ships. And with the addition of that new battleship, I'm going to go ahead and retire the Fuji class. They are currently in mothballs, but we're going to go ahead and scrap them. I don't know if it just cost us $1.2 million. Yeah, it did cost us money. That sucks. Cost us money to scrap those ships. Anyway, and then we should be in the red after this next turn, once our dock's completed, which they did. Okay, so you can see our docks expand. Oh, we're not into the black quite yet. But our docks expanded to 20,000 tons. It would be nice to have bigger docks than that. But you can see now our battleship construction is going along smoothly, and we should be okay financial-wise. Germany 2, 2, 1, 2. So no changes in the Dreadnought races. It's saying it's still going to take us another 27 months to build these. We could accelerate, but it would only cut 2 months off the construction time and add over 400,000 to the costs. So I'd rather not do that. 2 months isn't worth it. We're into December, so we'll just go ahead and jump forward one more turn. Several ships finished working up. There's a coronation review that has been a collusion between one of our ships and from France. Or a collision, sorry. What is your comment? An unfortunate incident, really, but nobody's fault. The accident was the result of clumsy maneuvering of the ill-trained crew of the French. Well, we don't lose prestige, but we do increase tensions. But the French, they're low enough. Okay, so we really need to start building some other ships. Are these guys all mothballed? I think I don't want to mothball these. They're rebuilt what, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. But I do think we can scrap some of our old destroyers. In fact, I'm quite tempted to scrap all of our old destroyers. I don't think I'll scrap them, but I am going to go ahead and move them into mothball status. So all of our old destroyers that are not based off of foreign shores are going to be moved into mothball status. That's 21 destroyers. They're all more or less obsolete, but they're so cheap if we do that anyway. And then I think we're going to design a new destroyer class as well. I don't really feel like designing it myself, though, so we'll just auto-design. They can be 900 tons now. They can move at 29 knots. They actually have some decent armaments as well. 4 5-inch guns. Design's not legal. Too many centerline turrets and torpedo mounts. Okay, what if we get rid of one aft centerline, aft superimposed, and aft? What if we just get rid of the aft? Too many centerline turrets and torpedo mounts. Oh, well, we do have 4 torpedo mounts as well. Torpedoes are the lifeblood of these ships, though. I don't know if we need the center. Heavier crowded centerline. I'm not too worried about that. So 4 torpedoes and 2 5-inch guns. What if we move it out of cramped? What's the impact? That's fine. Okay, we'll call it the Hayatai class or whatever. Okay, so they're going to have slower fire, but I don't really care about that. Meanwhile, we need to replace some of our other ships. I'd like to build 10. We're putting 21 into mothball, but with the current building timeline, that may not be feasible. Of course, the alternative is putting some of these older... Well, we could put some cruisers into mothball. We haven't done that yet. I'd like to build some new ones. Actually, these 2 cruisers are just old altogether. We're going to scrap these guys. The Asama class, these 2 are... Well, no, they were rebuilt just a few years ago. Crap. We'll put 2 of these in, not mothball, but we'll put them in the reserve fleet. That'll save 200,000. Nearly balances our books. And then we can go ahead and build 10 destroyers. Maybe not 10 right away. We'll build 6. Okay, so they're going to take 11 months to build 6 destroyers. You can see our fleet is downsizing a bit. You can see we dropped from 11 battleships or 13 battleships down to 10 because we scrapped the 2. But we have 2 battle cruisers under construction, and our destroyers dropped a bit. We have no need for the ramshackle inventions. I would like to buy that from the French government, but that's a lot of money right now, and we don't have a ton of money right now. So we'll have to rely on our own engineers. Naval visit by France asked journalists to comment on the visiting ships. We're impressed by their well-built and advanced ships. Decline prestige and tensions. We're happy to have hosted these fine ships with their friendly crews, neutral, rust buckets, indifferently trained sailors, and indolent officers are no match for our Navy. Prestige and tension. Oh yeah, take that, frogs! Ooh, we can now get oil-firing ships. Our prestige is slowly crawling up. I'm kind of curious how we can never trust Germany to keep agreements. Better armed for a conflict in them soundly. Well, Germany minus budget tensions, increase budget tensions. Booyah! More budget! Okay. So tensions are starting to come back up. Unrest levels have subsided a bit, but you can see the nice side effect to tensions going up is that we are getting increased naval spending. And actually, we're pretty darn close to Italy now. The U.S. still hasn't laid any dreadnoughts down. They have 31 pre-dreadnought battleships in service. They have the most. They're going to have the most non-dreadnought ships in service of any country. That's pretty impressive. I guess. So you can see here our destroyers. I'd like to build some new cruisers, but we don't have the money to do it. I don't want to just scrap these ships of ours, but we may have to. I mean, these guys are... Well, this one is 10 years old. We'll scrap the first Chakashima. It doesn't save us much money, but we'll do it anyway. Oh, actually, you get money back when you scrap ships. My bad. And I think actually what we're going to do is we're going to scrap some of these light cruisers. The Suma class needs to be replaced. So we'll scrap these, although they might be useful for commerce rating. We are downsizing our fleet a bit, obviously, as we just got 1.2 million back. And I think the next turn, what we're going to need to do, because we just scrapped 8 light cruisers, you can see we're down to 11, substantially outnumbered by everyone else. We've only got 6 heavy cruisers. We've got 2 battleships in construction in the U.S. We've got some decent heavy battleships of the pre-Dreadnought class still in the U.S. So I think really what the next thing we're going to need to do is I need to expand our docks more. In fact, I'm going to do that. It's going to put us back in the red, isn't it? 3.2 million. We really need to get those docks up. Okay, the Prime Minister wants to reduce finances for the Navy and build a new palace and luxurious yacht instead of the head of the state. I'll sacrifice prestige. I can't afford to sacrifice budget right now. I'm just running on a hair string as it is. I don't know why I have to name German cruisers. You're about to hold a speech at the annual gathering of the Navy League. What'll be the gist of your speech? The sea should be kept peaceful. No. We're prepared to safeguard... No. The freedom of the seas is threatened by some imperialistic ambition. Who? We can go with Germany, Great Britain, France, or Russia. Let's go with France, just because the French, I feel like, are the easiest picking right now. You can see it did increase tension quite a bit, but it gives us $1 million to play with, which I'm going to use to start modernizing the fleet. You can see France here has 18 pre-Dreadnought battleships. They have 2 battle cruisers under construction. Ours are actually larger, interestingly enough, and I would suspect faster. They substantially outnumber us in heavy cruisers, light cruisers, and destroyers, but because of the distant nature of their empire and the fact that a lot of their Asian colonies are kind of underdeveloped, I would imagine we would have an advantage in any conflict with France, so I'm okay with pushing the tensions up with France a bit. I'm also thinking maybe we back down on our research budget off of 10%. That could potentially free up quite a bit of money. Maybe we drop it to 6, and then look at that, we've got 1.7 million. But I do like those rapid technological developments as well. Especially, we're really far in terms of machinery development, so I'll keep things where they are for now. We've got $1 million to play with, and I think what we're going to do next turn is look at designing some light cruisers to replace some of the light cruisers that we just decommissioned. What I will actually do is I'm going to build 4 more destroyers real quick, because it's going to eat up like all of our budget. Okay. We had a lot of developments in the light cruiser field, but again, I need to replace those 21 destroyers that I mothballed, and in fact, I think I'm going to start just getting rid of them. But I don't want to get rid of 21 destroyers all at once. That would be a lot. So we'll have to think about that. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. I'm going to cut the video off here. It's a lot of just kind of me musing. I could build some subs, too. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and next video we're going to look at designing a new light cruiser class, and then after that we're going to look at maybe a heavy cruiser class, 9-inch guns, maybe like 10 of them, kind of a Dreadnought style. Something we can build domestically that is of a new kind of generation of ship. And then hopefully we get those docks upgraded and get them bigger and bigger so we can start building some bigger battleships. If we look at the almanac, we can see that the countries that we're facing off against, 26, 28, 27, 28, 27, 28. So these countries can all build much larger warships than us. But, it is what it is. We're going to have to figure out a way to deal with it. Maybe we'll cut the intel effort on Germany a little bit. I'm not sure how much we're really benefiting from that. I think we'll just drop down to low. We will bump the U.S. up to low as well. So we're getting a little intel on everyone. That frees up a little bit of cash. And we've got some destroyers that'll be done here in 5 or 6 months as well. And then in 10 months, the docks will be done up to 22,000. I'd really love for some private investment to kick that up to 23. But, again, playing catch-up. Anyway, this turn we saw our prestige bump up a bit, and we also saw our first 2 battleships get laid down. Interestingly enough, no one has completed any Dreadnought battleships, and ours have been under construction for 13 months or something like that. So we're getting into when they'll be completed in about a year and a half now, so it'll be 19 and 11 before the first Dreadnoughts come offline for us. Which is pretty in line, I believe, with where Japan was at, but certainly the rest of the world's behind because of that arms limitation treaty. Anyway, guys, that's enough rambling for me. I appreciate you tuning in, and until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.